Welcome to my third episode of Spiritual Truths with your host, Kerry-Marie. Today we're going to be talking about the journey of mediumship, and I have a lovely guest with me today, all the way from the Netherlands in Holland, Monique van der Bijl. Monique is a qualified and certified medium, someone I actually met through my training many years ago. Monique has a business called Spirit Talks, and she also does in-person as well as virtual readings. Along with us, Monique is a healer and has been doing demonstration for many years. It's my pleasure to introduce Monique van der Bijl. Welcome, Monique. It's so great to see you today. How are you doing?
I'm great. Lovely to see you too. And lovely to be able to meet like this from the other sides of the world.
Yeah, well, that's how we actually first met, really, didn't we? Which is really interesting. So, Monique, you're a working medium. You've been a working medium for quite a long time, haven't you? For many years.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting because Monique and I, for the listeners, we actually met through the internet, how we're meeting now. So it was on a platform called SNUI, which is a place that people internationally can meet under the Spiritual National Union. So that's how we first meet, which is really interesting.
It was,
yeah, we first met, and we didn't actually get to see each other, our faces, though. It was just all from voice, wasn't it? We could just hear from each other.
Yeah, because in those days, it was all in the beginning, having groups coming together online.
Yeah.
And I remember they had to find for a place, like we have multiple now, like this Zoom, or we have FaceTime, or we have whatever you have. But in those days, we didn't. So we only had typing and voice.
Typing and voice.
We had.
But
so
it still worked. It still worked, didn't it?
It worked. Yeah. And we did type, didn't we?
Yes. What happened, we had this, it was interesting because I never saw your face, but I heard you talking and you heard me speaking as well. Opposite end of the word, and we sort of formed this bond or this like comradeship. Is that what you called it? Or we became sort of we had and we were a little bit cheeky. Can you remember that we were in this we had lessons to learn, so we'd been taught through lessons, but also we had these divine services and which is supposed to be reverent, which we were reverent and we took it seriously, but we also had these little chit chats in the background.
Yeah, well, it was quite serious because it was about teachings, it was about learning journey, and it was about understanding what the SNU was about and all that comes with it, and their standards in mediumship. So that's how we got there. So we wanted to find out our standards in mediumship.
So people, listeners probably won't know what SNU is. So it's actually Spiritualist National Union, which we're both formally trained through, both of us, and you're a certified medium and so am I. And the great thing about it is that we met through this platform online, never saw each other. And then this group of people, we all sort of had a special bond, didn't we, all the girls?
Yeah.
And that was quite
amazing. It was a lovely group.
It's a lovely group. And the other interesting thing, a lot of people met at the Arthur Phinney College, which is in Stansted, and they formed bonds, but we didn't meet there. We met at Stafford, the training centre.
Yeah, but that was a little bit later. Yeah?
Yes, and then we went to Stafford, and then I don't need to go through everything, but we had to go through this thing called get our pass. It's called pass. We do live demonstrations, and we had to go in front of the board. Yeah, which was a bit scary, but all that I understand it's Spiritualist National Union, which is an international organisation that we're both members of. And then we went through the whole process again, like writing essays and almost like in New Zealand, they call it apprenticeship, like going through this book and signing off what you've done. Remember, we had to do that. And then we did our certification. So we all supported each other in that, didn't we?
Yeah, so we had to pass for that.
Yeah, so we did. But the interesting thing is how we all met in this amazing platform online.
Yeah. And we were lucky to have like-minded. We had a lot like-minded people, which was also very, very nice. We helped each other on the journey, and we had a lot of fun together on the journey.
We had a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, but also we were in a sort of similar mindset. We wanted to learn, we wanted to know, but we also wanted to have the most out of what is the other world teaching us, as well as the teaching from the Spiritualist National Union.
That's true. You're very good at speaking. You're very good at philosophy.
Yeah, I remember.
You're very gifted in that. You still are actually. So the thing is, for the listeners listening to this, so if they wanted to go on the platform, snui.org, that could be something that they could do if they wanted to do some training.
Yeah, that's correct. I sometimes tell that to people that come to see me for sessions or whatever and want to go do a training but don't know where to go.
Yeah.
There's plenty in the Netherlands, but if they don't find it here or they don't have the time to do these regular courses that we have here, it's easy to go on the SNUI because you can go online and do classes whenever it suits you best. So sometimes that suits you better with work or with a family situation. You can go online whenever you want to.
Exactly.
And it's good teaching, very good teaching.
It's very good. It's a good ground. It's very good basis because there's a lot of misunderstanding about mediumship, which has been part of our journey as well. Definitely part of our journey. So I would suggest that people, because they often ask me when I do a workshop, can I keep training? But I sort of try to get them to do something for themselves because I think people, they see someone like a medium like the both of us, and they want to have what we've got. And it's actually a personal journey. The journey of mediumship, which is this podcast is all about, it's a personal journey. It's no one else can do it for you.
No. It's very personal, and you can learn, and you go to training and workshops, like we did, which is very good. But also, I've noticed a lot that, we're all different, aren't we?
Yes, exactly.
So we learn differently, and we get educated by the spirit world differently. So we all have taken on this personal journey, which makes us all different in the way we work as well.
Exactly. It's really interesting. When I was on SNUI, there's two things that happened. There was one time I could feel my father around me, and I felt him like next to me. And then there was a medium in Germany, a male, and he said, I can feel father, Kerry-Marie, your father, and he's with me. And he was with me as well. I thought that was incredible. I'll never forget that. Because people can't understand. They think that they have to come in person to see you, but it's a different dimension. So, and I could feel him, and so could he in Germany. It was incredible. And it was probably one of the most healing messages I've ever had. Because that's the other thing. It wasn't what I was expecting. It was amazing.
Why did you find it the most healing experience at that time?
Because he said, my father said to this medium, and he was so right, and I don't talk to anybody about this, that people's opinions affect me. And they do. People's opinions. And it almost makes me anxious sometimes, especially if there's strong opinions. Like, I don't know, like I lose myself in the opinion. And he said to me that I'm losing myself in these opinions, and that they're just an opinion, and everybody has one, but I've just got to look at it more objectively, that that's just an opinion, and don't try to get worked up about it.
Oh, yeah.
And it sort of helped my anxiety as well, and become united with who I was.
And I think
he knows
also,
nothing about me, this medium, so it was incredible. My father from spirit did.
That's what I want to say. It's been given by somebody, a medium that's far away from you. No, you don't know, and then something like that comes through, and then it's without any doubt that there's the other world, that's your father, that's coming through, because it's so personal, so to the point what you get, that you cannot dismiss it.
No, and it stayed with me, and I go back to what he said, or often when I feel myself getting swept up in opinion. So it's really happy. It's that bridge between the two worlds. It's a bridge. So then it was really interesting how we met through this platform. We couldn't even see each other. We had some bond, and then we met in England twice, and then you came to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And which is amazing. And stayed with us. And I remember worrying about the size of the bed because you're both so tall, especially your husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's 2 meters.
Yes. And we did a show together. Remember that?
I remember, and it was so nice. It was so lovely to do that at your place,
Yes.
and lovely people.
Yeah, and we worked so well together.
Yeah, we did.
And then
We
I
did.
told you about, it was really interesting to have this. So no, you can't work with it as a medium, you can't work with everybody. So that was really interesting. And I told you about this place that we went off, and it's called Denny's in New Zealand. It's open 24/7. I said, we're going to go there afterwards. And I told you about it. And you'd even love
We did.
experiencing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm also, the interesting thing is I'm going to meet you later this year in your country, in Holland.
Yeah, you're coming to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So I'm going to meet you. I'm not too far from Amsterdam. So lovely to see you again. I'm
Yes.
really looking forward to that.
So I just think, isn't it amazing with spirit, how it's this dimension that unites people and it's united us, and then the internet did it as well. So I think this is fabulous. Because
Yeah.
people often worry about technology, but I think the spirit world work with technology.
Oh, yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah,
I've
they
noticed
do.
that I work sometimes with sessions because I have people coming to see me, but I also do a lot online and
Yes.
um, all over the place. So sometimes there's beautiful things happening that I'm not aware of, but the other person on the other side sees things happening that I
Yes.
can't see, which is really interesting.
Yes. It's really interesting, isn't it? That whole
Yeah.
dimension is so fascinating. So this is going to bring me to, before we get into your mediumship, because it's a huge passion for you and me, but we're going to talk about that. But can I just ask you, can I just ask you a bit about your own spiritual journey?
Yeah, sure.
So you can just tell me, and also your spiritual journey, about how this can help other people find their own spiritual journey or purpose or truth for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it differs for everyone.
Yes,
Um, I never looked for it.
yes,
I know I had things in my life always that I couldn't understand what was happening or how I
yes.
could know things or strange things that, for instance, I was a yoga and you had to put your hands up in the air in a sort of exercise and move them slowly together. And I couldn't put my hands together because something was between my hands and I couldn't see it, but I could feel
Wow.
it. To me, it was tangible. And if I started to press it, it was like energy pressing on me, which was not good. So it was good, but didn't feel good. So I didn't press too much, but I held on to it. It was like a
Interesting. That's
ball of
fascinating.
energy. It's fascinating. So I sat there and I thought, what am I going to do with it? And then this yoga teacher said to me, well, I know a medium close by. Maybe you should see her. And I thought, yeah, this is
Oh,
interesting.
well,
So
I'm
I'm going
going
to
all
find
tingly. When you say that, I just went really, really
out.
tingly.
Yeah.
I really
And
did. Yeah.
at that time, I also had that something happened in my life that was quite a turnaround. And at that point, I felt like I was embraced with a big blanket of love.
Wow.
And I could
Amazing.
feel it. It felt to me like it was as big as the room where I was standing in. And I had no idea what was happening to me, but it felt so nice, so good.
Yeah.
And I thought, what is going on? So I
Yes.
had to do something with those experiences and I had to find out. And this big blanket of love stayed with me for about 6 months. It gradually waned away. It's like it got thinner over time. And in that time, in those months, I saw this medium and I started to find out what I could do in this area. And then I was referred by this medium to the Arthur Findlay College.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't pick it up at first because, yeah, I didn't know what it was. And it was December, Christmas time, or whatever. You have some busy time. So I didn't do anything with it. And then it came back and it came back. So I looked it up and I saw the website and I got butterflies everywhere.
Wow.
I'm a very grounded person. I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yes. I think it's good to be grounded, though. I think that I find
Yeah,
some of
you
the,
couldn't be
yeah,
grounded.
I found
But
personally, and this is interesting for people to listen to, because there could be these, I don't know, it's the way people could look at mediums as all airy fairy and fluffy.
yeah, no, you
And
can't.
and that's one thing I found I got tempted into that when I first found this, and then I found that Arthur Honeycott was very grounding and very real. And that's what I
Yeah.
like. That's a bit weird, different, because I find I'm very grounded and real with the work that I
Yeah.
do. I wasn't always, but I went back to that, and people like that,
Yeah.
don't they?
Yeah. Yeah. They really like that.
I want to
Yeah.
go back quickly just to the love. This is really interesting because when you get into mediumship, the love
Mhm.
is that, well, I just heard Spirit say to me, that love is eternal, which is interesting. But that feeling
Love
of
is
that,
what?
I just heard
What did you
Spirit
say?
say to me, love's eternal. I just heard them say
Oh,
that
yeah.
just now as we're
Yeah.
talking, because they come in and talk. The other thing is that it's so overpowering. I remember I started my mediumship journey many years ago, and I went back into it, and I just remember being around this medium, and I was overwhelmed with that feeling of love. It's almost so deep, isn't it? You can't
Yeah.
explain it. And I've had people just break down in tears and with this love when they're searching. And it's just, I want to say to the listeners, is that the spirit world is just full of love and compassion. And I
Yeah. They
spoke
are.
to my son last night about someone in our family that was going through a difficult time, who's quite religious, but they said they went into their room and there's an outline of spirits. They could see them and it was all twinkling.
Mhm.
And she said the feeling was incredible. She told me. So I just want to go back to that love feeling because it's
Yeah.
amazing how mediums, I think if you truly get into mediumship, you just get overwhelmed with this love, don't you? And that connection.
Yeah. But there's a difference between what I felt in those days. It was like on the outside, like I was in a big embrace of love.
Yes.
Also tangible for me because it felt like
Tangible.
a big,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, like a down blanket around you. And from feather, I meant a feather blanket. But there's also, of course, when the spirit world touches you and you feel the love inside,
I
which
know.
can go so deeply.
Yes.
And it touches you sometimes, it touches you like nothing else ever happened in this world that you've ever experienced before.
It's incredible,
So it
isn't
goes,
it?
it is. But it's the same for me when we are in touch with the spirit world. It's like we meet in such a deeper level than what you can experience with people in this world.
Yeah, it's something you can't explain. I actually, it's interesting for my spiritual truth is that something came to me recently, is that I'm a deep diver. And I've always been a deep thinker and a deep diver. And I
Yeah.
find it really difficult to be superficial, like a superficial friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the mediumship, isn't it? Part of the journey is that I realize that I'm actually just that's who I am. And I can find the fluff quite tedious.
I don't think you can do mediumship of going deep down.
You've got to go deep down. Exactly. So
Yeah.
so this we know now I was like, then my next question was going to be what brought you into mediumship, but I think you've already answered that question. What brought you into
Yeah.
mediumship? And can I now ask, I understand that the love, but can I ask you why is it such a passion for you? Monique, why is it such a passion?
Well, yeah, we touched a little bit upon how much it can touch you, how
Yes,
deep it goes. But it also, I think mediumship is in very many forms.
yes,
But in all forms you find the ingredient of healing.
yes, I agree.
And I think that the healing can be so profound that it helps
Mm,
people in their lives in such a way that nothing else can.
absolutely.
And it doesn't matter how you do it. Some people do it like a spirit artist, some do it with a trance, or some do it with only healing. But I think that through you and I mostly do it through the spoken word. We pass on information, or we do the reading and see what's going on in people's lives and what questions they have.
Yes,
But it also it doesn't mean that there's always going to be an answer directly about what somebody's asking. It's often more than that, or it's encapsulated in another story, and that explains the journey people are on.
yes, it
This is
helps
my
him.
experience.
Yes, it's absolutely. And it's
It's
always
about it.
unexpected. It's quite often unexpected, isn't it? It's not often I often say it's like a blank canvas that you paint upon, and they sometimes can
Yeah,
have expectations. And what I
yeah,
find is that spirit has this way of touching them, but
yeah.
not how they expect it or how you expect it either.
Oh, shall I give you an example for that one?
Great.
I had, I once had a lady come in, and she was very nervous, because some people are very nervous. They don't know what's going to
Yes.
happen, and hope
Yes.
for nothing bad. Well, there's never anything bad. And she sat down and she didn't know what. So I said a few words, and then we kept quiet. And I felt the spirit world was drawn in, and I felt the energy. It was so soft and loving and caring. And I thought, let's see and wait what happens. And we did that for, I think, 15 minutes.
Wow.
And nothing was said. And then finally, I said something to her and I asked her, how do you feel? And she was crying. She says, I don't
Absolutely.
know. And what's going on? Is this real what I'm experiencing? Is this
Yes.
really happening? And I said, yes.
Yes.
And it was without anything said, without anything done by me,
Isn't
that
it incredible?
she had the answers, and she had the healing that she actually was coming for.
It's like you were facilitating that. I hear the word facilitated it.
Only that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing that we can do as a medium, being a facilitator
We are
in
a facilitator. Yeah.
whatever way they can use us.
Yes. I do find that sometimes people, when they come to see me in my practice, they sit down and they just start crying. And so I don't know why I'm crying, and it's because of spirit. And the
Yeah,
other
but
thing, yeah, the other thing I find that is the evidence, because I had a lady come the other day and she she was nervous, she was elderly, and she drove a long way to see me, didn't know what to expect. And then I was giving information about her husband who'd passed, and she's going, yeah, and then he gave his name. And she knew just without a doubt that that was her hubby. And I find the evidence is so healing as well, because I think people have an element of doubt.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I once had a sitting with somebody, and I gave all sorts of evidence, and she said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," but I felt, she's not there yet. She doesn't, not enough. And at some point, I told her that this uncle that we were talking about once took her to have a milkshake
Oh,
somewhere, and
wow. Oh,
they
wow.
had a they had a milkshake, a strawberry milkshake, and I thought, what's that? Everybody has a milkshake every now and then, maybe.
Yes,
But for her, that did it. It
I
was
know. Isn't it
that.
interesting?
It's so interesting. So anybody else listening would think, well, what's a milkshake? So I cannot judge what is evidence for
I
somebody else.
know, I know. It's incredible actually. Often you get the most simple things can mean so much. I remember also animals is really interesting because I
Yeah.
did a reading for this elderly lady as well. And her husband came through. She likes to talk to her husband. He came through. Her brother came through, connected. And she was, yep, yes, yes. And then I went, oh, I can see this cat. And I got Wilkie. And she just a flood of tears. She goes, oh my God, Wilkie the cat. It was incredible. It was this
Yes.
animal that really did
Yeah.
it for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I just heard Spirit say, we are their voice. We are their voice. So obviously your passion with mediumship is that it's actually the wonder of Spirit and helping other people and heal. And I'd also say find their way, find their own passion, because it helps them in their own path. And you enjoy that, don't you?
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah. People come with all sorts of questions, and then they come home, they feel like they've been confirmed in some way, or they have had just anything that can do it for them, to empower them on their path. And I love that, because I think people are often having such a hard time in this life, or make it
They do.
we make it difficult for ourselves often, because of the
Yes.
way we are taught to live. And we haven't learned about the way that we have learned through our mediumship, that you can live and how you can view life in a different way, through the spiritual point of view.
I think it comes back
And
down to love, doesn't it? Rather than ego and fear, it comes down to love.
yeah, but it also comes down to focusing on yourself, on your own spirit, your own soul, the person that you are, and
I
not on
love
the
this.
outside world, but who you are inside, because that makes this connection with your own soul again,
I
which
love
gives you the
this.
feelings of everything that you're looking for, like it's love, like it's joy, like it's whatever you need.
So really
And
what you're saying to me is this mediumship to this personal journey to yourself. And
is
it's not about accolades or what other people tell you. It's not about pleasing
no,
others. You get joy. You get joy from helping others, but it's also about you following your own journey within, which is very
yeah,
special. And that gives you a lot of
yeah,
joy and being yourself.
yeah, yeah, it
Rather,
does. Because if you go for mediumship, and you must have noticed that as well. I think many mediums have found out that if you go for mediumship, you also have to look at yourself. You also
you
have to look at
do.
your dark sides and your griefs and whatever you have in there. Not only the bright light sides. So you're facing yourself in every way, and in that way you make yourself open, more free. You free yourself up, but also open as a channel for the spirit world. So it helps you in the way you work as well.
And to realize that you're only
And
human as well. That you're only human. I think that's really
you have,
important.
we
And you're
are,
not
we
and
are.
you're not perfect. And I'm hearing the word like embrace who you are. Embrace who you are.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's interesting
Yeah.
because I had a psychologist who was just a supervisor. I was advised to have a supervisor because I'm dealing with people's problems a lot. And one of the things that she said to me that the spirituality is about a journey to yourself. And she said people find it through nature, they find spirituality through the truth. And often they can also find it, say, through acts of service. Also, they can also find it through me. It's this the bit that really spoke to me, is through beauty. And I realize that my spirituality is through beauty because I love beautiful things.
Yeah.
I'm always posting sunrises because I love the beautiful sky or the beautiful nature
Yeah.
or beautiful things or dressing up or beautiful pictures or paintings. And it's like I found the more spiritual I became, the more I wanted to express that. But that's not everybody. So for
No,
you,
it's not.
some people want to find the truth. Some people, I want to know what the truth is. So where do you find it that you find your spirituality, Monique?
Ooh, I have a different
It's a
one, I
deep
think.
question, isn't it?
Yeah. It brings me back to when I was a kid. I don't know what age I was. I was really young, maybe 8 or 9. And we lived close to a church, but we weren't going to church. But we lived close to it. And I wanted to find out. So I always went to the Sunday school. And I wanted to know what could be found in there. And one thing that I always felt, I want to know, what is God?
Interesting.
It's very interesting because it was the only one in this family, and they thought maybe that was a bit odd or whatever. But I just went there on my own, and I wanted to find out. And one night we had a bunk bed. My sister was in the lower bed, I in the upper bed, and then I thought one night I thought, I'm gonna see if I can do a prayer. And I was
Wow.
lying there. It was just before going to sleep, and I thought, oh, I'm going to do it on my own and see if I can do that. And I did. And there was this voice coming to me, talking to me. And I was startled like that. And I thought, what is that? But for me, I could feel it, I could hear it. And I was, without a doubt, there is something there that we call God.
Yes, yes,
And nowadays, I know I can call it universal consciousness. I can call it great love, great spirit, God, Allah, whatever name you give it. But
yes,
it's there.
yes.
But for me,
Absolutely.
it's always been that kind of search.
Yes,
And I
interesting.
always
So
want,
it's about the truth. To me, it feels like that. What's the truth?
yeah, it's about knowing. It's about understanding. It's about what is life. What is it? What is out there? What is it? And it's also, and I remember later words like enlightenment really spoke to me. So I wanted to find out always.
To me, it's really like the truth. I feel you want to know the truth. And also, this is why you into philosophy. you're just a natural philosopher, so you're into philosophy as well, I feel.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's really interesting. It's interesting. I was brought up in a religious background, so I had a sense of spirituality, and I wanted to look at all the saints. We had a book of saints and the martyrs, and it's just, I was a very deep child. It was very strange. I was like quite different from anyone else. So
Yeah.
it's always searching. So I'm going to ask you,
I, I, I
why?
don't think I don't think it matters which way you choose. There are many, many roads you can
I
choose,
agree. I
and
agree.
any road can take you there.
I agree. I totally agree with you. I
Yeah.
absolutely. I often find when someone's been an atheist or agnostic on earth
Yeah.
and someone comes for a reading, something the spirit always often says to me, oh, there really is a God. That's what they say. They don't say there really is a universe. And they say this, and the person always gets taken aback. And I say, I have to ask you, was your loved one an atheist? And they say, yes, I didn't believe. And it's one of the first
Yeah.
things they say. It's just
Yeah.
fascinating. So
Yeah.
the question I've got here, so I can see why you enjoy working with spirit, because I was going to ask you why you enjoy it so much. I think I can feel that you really, so, you know, you really enjoy it. So why do you enjoy it so much?
It's always positive. It's always light.
Yes.
Uh, it's always, even though there we can go into really deep and serious subjects with people, and really going back into pain or something that happened to somebody or grief or whatever, it's always positive, and it's always helping people feel better or uplift their spirits or giving joy. I don't know how to say it differently, but that makes it
Yeah, I
so
agree.
beautiful.
I used to always feel, though, as a medium, I had to always give positive messages. But what I find sometimes something might come through that's not particularly positive, but it's helpful and it's guidance. And Spirit
Yeah.
always says it's a suggestion. But whenever I get a message from Spirit, and I think, oh gosh, I don't know if I should say this, but I trust, and I might be very diplomatic to my sitter, but they always are very happy to hear it. They see it as
Exactly.
positive. As my judgment is negative, but they say no, they're really happy to know that.
Exactly. And we are not the ones to be able to judge anything because we have no clue about who's sitting in front of us and what their lives is about and what message would suit them best. So
Yes.
we are not the ones to decide what to say and what not to say. It's
I,
only the way we bring it. If we bring it in a nice way or a positive way, it's fine.
They just said to me we can taint it, which is interesting, taint it. So we can actually ruin it a little bit actually by our own thoughts and judgment.
Yeah.
So it can be often be a challenge to deliver things to people
Yeah.
in the right way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I was going to ask you now, so what's changed you with the medium? So what's changed you? Okay, have you changed?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
It's changed and it's sort of obviously enhanced your life. So it's changed you, it's enhanced your life, and it's in your own unique special way. So you think about the listeners. So for you, it's been a profound change. So
For
why do you think it's
it,
changed
it
you? Yeah,
well, in many, many ways. But where I would in the past maybe fight against things or for things, I'm now more interested in looking what's going on. I'm more curious,
right.
and and I look at things completely different, and I see an opportunity in everything, or I see the positive in everything. So I'm not so um, I'm not so set on having it this way or that way anymore. I'm just going with the
More
flow and see
open.
where
And
it
more,
takes.
yeah. It was really
Yeah.
interesting that one of my experiences I'm going to be talking about is when my father died. That's my first big, I think, sense of grief of losing someone. And I've noticed that even to this day, because my father's come through and was life changing for me, is that I've dealt with my father's grief so much better than the rest of my family. I think that's changed me in a way. It was like so profoundly that others could never, even to this day, can't get over the passing of my father.
But I also think that's the blessing of being of mediumship, of being a medium.
It's so healing with that grief. So also, I'm just going to change the subject slightly. So for you, you're a bit like me. So we were led to mediumship, and it opened this whole new world, new path. So why do you believe in learning and education regarding spirituality? Because that's a path that you chose to take.
Yeah.
Why do you
Because
believe in that?
if you want to know more, if you want to open up to what else there is, if you want to know that there is more than that, than the way you experience things, or then you have to just go and see what else there is, and then you take
Learn for
courses, or
yourself.
if you don't, you can learn a lot from the spirit world as well, but you can learn from all sides, and taking in information and trying out and see what resonates with you puts you on a path of learning what suits you and what doesn't suit you, what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and also opening up the things that are there for you. And it's like sometimes I have people here and they do feel the information, the clairsentience,
Yes.
and they don't think they get anything because they want to see,
Yes,
or they want to hear
exactly.
words.
Yes, exactly.
And then
They don't
and
understand.
then you get, if you have that, you get stuck and you don't notice what else there is. But if you're on a course and you get to learn or practice with different ways, you start to understand how your mediumship works. It's maybe very different from somebody else's mediumship, but that's, again, we're individuals, so we have our own unique ways, and that's, you can find out if you learn a little bit more about it.
I think
So
also,
you can,
yeah, for me, what I found is that I just found having the credibility was really important, that I was a credible
yeah,
medium. That's
yeah,
important for me. And the other thing that was
yeah,
important for me is that I found Arthur Finney College and the whole SNU really helpful, because I found that there was a lot of stuff that was really out there that I just still
yeah,
can't grasp. And it
yeah.
just seemed a bit, oh, whoa, I call it whoa, and I love the grounding of it. It was
Hmm.
really good. I felt that really is really positive for me. I found
Yeah,
that really helpful. But I did find that going to Arthur Finney College was great. But when I went there for the first time, people expected me to be this amazing medium. And I realized
really.
that yes, they did. They had this idea, oh, she's been to Arthur Finney College. But to me, I just knew I'd only begun. It was like, had so much more to learn. It was just it was my own journey.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what's really interesting. So how do you find that spirit guides you through your own life?
Different ways. They, I feel sometimes I'm being somewhere nudged in a certain direction, or get
Yes,
interested in investigating certain areas, or sometimes if they really need to, I get to see somebody who tells me something, but they
yes.
never tell me what to do. It's like
It's true. And they never
inspiring.
do. They say to me the word suggestion. That's what they say to me. They never
I feel
say,
it like, no, I feel it like I'm being inspired, or I feel myself like, oh, I want to find out,
yes,
something like that. And also when I want to know something, I just ask them for help, and I just ask them to see how they can make it clear to me, or how I can learn something, or if they can teach me something.
yeah.
And then that way I start to notice things are happening, or somebody says something to me, or I get inspiration, or different ways. So they're always listening. They're always
They're
helping out.
always there. And I also get it sort of happens naturally. It happens naturally as
And
well.
sometimes people think that if when you're a medium, you just have to ask and everything's told to you,
Yes.
so that you don't have to find out yourself and don't have to live your life yourself and take your own decisions. But that's
But I
not
think
the
we have
way.
all the answers and we don't. I often
We
say
don't.
I'm just, and in fact, the more I've been doing the
Yeah.
mediumship, the more I've realized, the less I know.
Oh yeah, but isn't that in life
Yeah,
always?
the more I do my meditation, so it's nothing to do with me. And that's where I sort of also feel there's a caution when people go to get a reading or seek guidance, even teaching. It has to sit right for them, because people in our situation get a sense of power, and sometimes I've experienced, and even pretty recently with someone like a guru type person was talking down to me, and I just
Oh,
felt really awful. And I realized that was not spiritual. That was coming for their own ego or the desire of
exactly.
control. And I think there's a warning that it's a bit like I'm here to read advice. So spirit gives you advice, but they don't tell you what to do, and you don't know everything. And it has to sit right with you. I think that's really, really important. So there's a time. So why do you think you love helping others, Monique? Because obviously you do.
Hmm.
Why do you think you like that?
I think that's because I've done a lot before I did this. A lot of work. I worked in all sorts of areas, and I was also worked abroad. I've seen a lot, and I've seen a lot of struggle of people working
Yes,
everywhere, and I've seen a lot of people struggling anyway. And I think that's. I remember once when I just started out on the journey, I told the spirit world that I was working in an office and I didn't like that job at all, the last job. And I remember I asked the spirit world if there was a way to help all these people too that are working in offices and day by day, 9 to 5, and were not happy in it. I thought there must be a way to do something about that. But it's just compassion, I think.
you got a
I
sense of
think it's
compassion. Yeah,
compassion
I think we both
because
got
it's
like that.
just
Yeah,
there's so much well, suffering is a bit hard, a big word, but there's so much going on in this world that makes it difficult for people. And what I see with the mediumship, it gives a different dimension to them. It
mm,
gives a different understanding, and it gives upliftment. And from there on, they take their own journey, and they come back, or they start a class, or they do something else with it. But it helps them on the way. Just a little bit of a shift in your view.
I like
It
that. Yeah,
helps, and I think that's the most beautiful thing. And I love it.
I
I
can
just
feel
love to
spirit
help.
touching my head. They're touching me right now. I can feel them. It's also that
Yeah.
empathy. I think we're both quite empathetic, which can be a bit
Mm.
overwhelming at times. That empathy of other people's pain and suffering I find it quite overwhelming. But to me, when you're talking to me, it's about the Good Samaritan help somebody on their way, and in the Bible, and they didn't carry them. And it's like no, I'm not being all biblical, I'm just saying that's a good story, or giving someone the fishing line, not the fish, because I feel we've got to be careful because we are compassionate and empathetic, that sometimes we don't want to get caught up in that. And rescuers always get hurt. So we don't really rescue, we just want to help someone gently, empower them to fulfill their own life, don't we?
Yeah, yeah.
I think
But
that's
I don't get caught up in it when I work. When
right,
I don't have that
right,
because I'm really open to the other world, and it's like you're on a different level working.
right. That's
So I
great.
don't have that. But in daily life, it can take you when you're not aware of it, and you feel so compassionate for somebody, and then you feel it, or when you see something happening on TV in the world, all this stuff
It
that
can
goes on, it can
really,
be
really upset you.
overwhelming.
I have to be
Yeah,
careful about that, even in my readings and my work. In fact, that's why I had a supervisor, and she said that I was getting too involved, which is good to have that. So she said it's like if you could see people in boiling water, she said I was jumping into the boiling water with them rather than throwing them a rope. So
yeah,
became very
yeah,
aware of that, and that helped my energy levels as well,
yeah.
because I think that's really important. So talking about what's going on in the world, this is leading into this other area we talked about. So as a medium, sometimes it can be difficult giving readings to another medium. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just this fear and everything of other mediums, because sometimes I've found that because they've got this gift, it's sometimes that I think we need to celebrate each other's gift and each other's mediumship, but maybe we're sort of a bit fearful of that. And I never really give many readings to other mediums often, apart from when I was doing SNU and Arthur Finney College. That took me out of my comfort zone. I had to really believe in the spirit world of myself. But there was a situation for you, I was going to bring me to that. you live in Holland, obviously near the Ukraine and the Russian war. And at that time, it obviously, because it's so close, too close, it obviously affected you. And I felt that we had a chit chat, and I felt spirit world come in, which is really interesting. And I read you one of my cards from these cards, messages from spirit,
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
yes, and they
Yeah,
just I used
I
to feel
remember.
yes, I'm going to do some more actually, but I heard spirit talking to me, so I did my own cards, and I read a card for you, and that was when I realized that these cards that I've written that connected with an actual spirit at times. Like I can sometimes really. So when I was reading the card, I saw this image of your mother. So in my logical mind for your mum, I always thought like a mum, but she felt like you. I thought she looked a bit like you. She felt like you. She almost felt a little bit alternative. I don't know if you remember that. I was quite
Mm,
surprised how open-minded she was.
yeah,
And I just
yeah,
went into this energy, and I feel at that time is that it was able to help you, wasn't it? Because she was calming you. Can you remember that?
yeah, I can remember that. But my mom has a habit to show herself to you. I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
She comes in very
yeah.
unexpected. And she also said to me now, and in the future, she's going to come through in the future.
Oh, yeah. But I also know you took out one of your cards, which was so beautiful that I reread it later on again
And it
from the
touched
fact
you because
that
you
you
knew
felt.
you knew it's from spirit. Yeah.
Sorry?
So you knew this was from spirit. So I'm just going to
Yeah,
read
I
you
knew it was
another
spirit.
card. I'm going to read you, and I'm going to put my glasses on because I thought and you can give me some feedback on this. Right. I got number 50. So it's life is a mystery for you to walk through. You search for answers. You need some clues. Enjoy what you have, not what you don't. It'll come to you. You won't go broke. Look at the beauty in life that surrounds you. Enjoy every minute and all that you do. One day at a time is the best way to be. Living in the present is really the key.
Mm.
So I'm not sure how that talks to you. If you feel that can talk to your heart.
Mm. I can feel that sometimes I want to go faster. I want to move on. And
Yes.
I seem to get the message lately. Slow down.
Yes.
No, you're in the right place right now.
Yes.
Everything's going as it should go. Slow down.
Yeah. And I really feel that about the
And
patience and
I've had a problem with slowing down. so so they really have to ask me to really take my time.
I just heard a message from Spirit now, and I just heard that there will be the icing on the cake,
Right.
and it will be very special. And it's really quite full. So there will be the icing on the cake, and only you will
Good.
know. And
Nice.
I do get that there'll be an opportunity for you. So we're going to finish off with this. So it's all about spiritual truths, and it's also that people will be watching you and listening to this. So what do you believe that your spiritual truths are? And then how other people can find theirs.
I think there are many, but for me, I would say we talked about there's life after this life. There's not really death. We just continue to live
Yes,
on, and we often take life too serious,
we
and
do. Oh, we do. All of us do.
and, and I know I have this really playful inward being. I'm
You
really
do.
playful, and sometimes I forget about that. And I
Yes.
think when we look at the world, I think we all should remember to be playful and feel much more carefree and not be so burdened by everything life is throwing on us. Just see what opportunities there are, what you do have, what is there, all the positive things in there, and then you have each other, you have music, you have
I
outside
know.
nature. You don't need any money for that. You can make fun together, and that will change life, or that will ease life. I think
So it's
I think
about
that's
actually it's
important.
relating to your card. It's because it said at the end, living in the present is really the key. And I felt someone giving you a
Yes.
key, and I'm wearing this golden key. And I felt I
Huh?
wanted to give, and I just heard the words as well. This is interesting. You can interpret how, I just heard someone say to me, it's good to be a bit naughty. So I'm not persuading
I
people
love
to
that.
be, yeah, I just a bit,
I love
but
that.
do you like that? I do hear that.
I love that. Yeah. To make a bit of fun and to put people on the wrong foot sometimes and just have a good laugh.
I did hear
And
it's
that,
good to be a
oh,
bit naughty. Yeah, I did hear, and that's interesting how we connected this bit of a
yeah.
naughty side when we started connecting doing chats, and it was
Oh,
fun.
I remember also a session where a mom and her daughter came to see me for her son that had passed at a young age. And this boy came and he came in with such naughty fun. And he
Yes.
was so much fun. And I could hardly speak. And I just had to say a sentence or two. And then I could only laugh. And by the by the time they were 15 minutes in, the
Don't
tears were
say I'm so tingly.
going down. It was so much fun. And we had 1 hour laughing. Also, lots of information coming through, but laughing. And they went away in such different energy, such a different
Because
state.
often the spirit was this interesting, the spirit world are happy. They're at peace, they're
Yeah,
happy.
yeah,
And they
yeah,
celebrate and they love it when you and they're much better than we're on
yeah,
earth and they just want you to be happy, don't they? Because people often feel when someone's died, and obviously we go through grief, which is a really difficult thing to
yeah.
go through, but they also feel they can't be happy and they want you to be happy.
Yeah, and when I interfere and would say, "Oh, I can't do that. I have to be serious. This is not good. This is not right," it would have been totally different, and it wouldn't have worked. This young boy wanted to do it this way,
Exactly.
and they were so happy with it. And then I thought, yeah, give into it.
Go
It's
with
not
it.
only go with it, and I'm not afraid to go with it. I'm not afraid to listen to the spirit world and just be the voice for them. Just be the one.
Happy. Can you remember you actually did a reading for me? And this has happened to many mediums. I've got an auntie and she was hilarious. And people say, I've got your auntie here. And they just start, the whole face is filled with tears of laughter. I'm pretty sure my auntie came through to you. And you said, I don't know why. I just want to laugh. Can you remember that?
I
Because
don't
I went, oh, yes, you
know.
did that. I remember, I think it was in Stafford and you started laughing. And that was, she's a real character. And she's one of those people. She's my mum's sister. She's hilarious. And she still is. And she makes everybody laugh. It's great.
It's really great, and it's also giving an impression that we don't have to be so serious, and that of course we can be grieving because we miss somebody here on this side of the world.
Absolutely. We're allowed to. Yes.
Yeah, but also that when they hear somebody in the spirit world who's happy and who's feeling great or who's doing well, it's different.
Such a
You
relief for
don't
them, isn't it?
It's a relief, and they don't have to worry about that, and we can just be in touch with them and carry on.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thing I learned about mediumship is not to try to fix people's grief through my readings, but it'll
No,
just help them
no.
on their path, on their way. Well, I'm just going to ask, so for the listeners, we're going to wind it up in a minute. So you obviously do readings for people, Monique.
Yeah,
You do in person. You also do on Zoom. Is it on Zoom that you do it?
yeah,
Virtual? And you're in
yeah.
Holland, and you do teaching and you do healing. Been doing this for many years. The name of your business is Spirit Talks. So how can they get hold of you? Someone wants to book a reading with you or get in touch with you. How do they get hold of you, Monique?
It's my website is spirittalks.nl from the Netherlands. So spirittalks.nl.
And they can book through there or just get hold of you?
Yeah, yeah. They can book through there. They can see what I do, and they can fill in the contact form, and just I'll be in touch with them.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to see you this year and I'll be in touch before then. So
Thank you,
blessings
Kerry-Marie.
and
It was
love. It's
lovely
been
to
been
speak with you.
amazing. And I've also I feel like I've learned a lot from you as well.
I hope you enjoyed this podcast with my guest, Monique Vanderbel from Holland, who's a certified medium from Spirit Talks. We discussed how we first met
many years ago through the internet and how technology brought us together. We both trained through the SNUI and went on to do further training through SNU. How the group of us, including Monique, we met in person. That she also came along to we met in New Zealand and we did a show together, and how wonderful that was. And we discussed how interesting that the spirit world keeps evolving with us and how they will actually use technology can connect with us. What I found really interesting in this podcast is a bit like myself. Monique talked about how she had this searching for the truth as a child, and what is this God, this creator, this greater force, and she went to seek this by visiting the church. I found that really quite interesting. We went to talk about her journey of spirituality and mediumship and why she enjoys doing it so much. And what came through is that Monique just loves helping others. The joy that it gives to others, the upliftment that it gives to others. This is something that she really spoke about. I thought it was really interesting when she mentioned yoga in the early days. Through yoga, she felt this beautiful love, this love outside herself, and she wanted to feel this love within. She got directed, a bit like I did, to a medium that started on her journey, which took her to the Arthur Finney College and later on the SNU. The interesting thing about her formal training was that she wanted to get more information. And for myself, it was about becoming, I suppose, credible. But for Monique, it was more than that. She went beyond that. Monique really wanted to find out information. And I think something you can take away from this. She took out of it what was right for her. She discovered new things. And the one thing she also mentioned, it wasn't just by formal training, it was how Spirit guided her. And how Spirit taught her, and how she keeps evolving. I thought that was a really good clue for her to find her own spiritual truths. She finds that this is who she is, this is her passion, this is her purpose. Monique mentioned she can't imagine herself doing anything else, and this is her spiritual truth. Not only is it here to heal and help others, but it also helps to guide her the way through. We mentioned how things are difficult in this world and how Spirit comes when you really least expect them. There was a time, because Monique lives in the Netherlands, she's quite close to Ukraine and Russia, and that bothered her. I happened to talk to her at that time, and I felt her mother came through to me through one of my cards, my message from Spirit cards, and it really spoke to her, and I think it just really calmed her, and she decided not to worry about it so much and just to keep going forward with this beautiful talent and gifts that she has that she can share with others, because we've been given this gift for a reason. And it was really amazing the way that Monique actually talked about how she doesn't let things get her down in her readings. The world can get her down, but in her readings she finds it very uplifting. And I thought that was very special as well, that she gives us soothing to other people. But she does find that the Spirit will guide her in her own world and what she can offer others. And this is what her true passion is. This is what she lives for, and this is her spiritual truth. I really enjoyed this podcast with Monique. You can get her through Spirit Talks if you want to have her reading with her. And blessings and love to you, Kerry-Marie.